very much, and thank you for having me this morning.
It's a pleasure.
Yes, so the 4 Ps are the fundamentals and the foundations of marketing.
Yeah.
And why do we say this? Because we look at 4 key elements in the marketing strategy. The first P being the product. You know, and a product can either be an item or it can be a service.
Yeah.
Remember, there are different services that can be offered out there in the market, or again, different items that can be offered in the market. And the second P is about the price. You know, when you push a product out there or a service out there, it needs to be governed by a price. So we also look at the price, and there are many things, many factors that come around when you're looking at the price consideration.
Yeah.
And then there's also the other P, which is the promotion. How then, now you have your product, you have your price, then how do you promote it out there? You know, what channels of distribution do you go for? What does your consumer need? Where are they at? And then we also look at the place. Remember, the customer of today, or the client or the consumer of today has evolved.
Yeah.
You know, the digital space has opened up a lot of things in the market. So there are some products or services that can still do very well in the brick and mortar kind of a strategy. However, again, because of the proliferation of the usage of internet, the use of handsets and all that, then we'll see that the internet marketing has also become very, very convenient for marketing. Yes.
All right.
So,
and maybe we should have started by speaking to the people who are watching us and telling them the importance of marketing. Because yes, you want to set up a shop, and you assume, well, we'll be having walk-ins, people will walk through this place, and they will buy after all. So we don't put so much energy on the aspect of marketing, in as much as today at least we have these social media spaces that allow for us to reach out to very many people beyond the spaces that we're in. Just what is the essence of marketing, even before we expound the 4 Ps further?
all right, that's a very good point to consider. We say marketing is how you you package, you know, the activities around how you package your product or your service, and how you place it out there. So it's about the creating of awareness, it's about creating the awareness about your brand and placing it out there so that your consumer can be able to take it in according to their needs and preferences. Remember, there's also the aspect of sales, which is very different from the aspect of marketing, which comes after, because the marketing part is very relational. You're creating a relationship with your consumers. You're creating a relationship with the people you are targeting to fulfill a need. You know, the first key element to understand, even as you're pushing your your product out there, is it needed? Who needs it? What problem is it solving? Yes, that is a key pain point that you need to consider. So marketing is all about putting the awareness and the brand out there for your consumer to be able to take it up for the required needs.
Okay, well, that's fair enough, and perhaps well articulated. So what are the importance of these 4 Ps that you have spoken to, you know, in the process of marketing, and as well in the process of introducing this product now to the consumer, or to the audience that you'd want to understand the product?
Now, the importance of this field, like I said from the beginning, they are very fundamental. And why? Because you'll be able to know where do you shift your resources to. You know, as you're putting out your brand there, as you're putting out your product, as you're putting out your service, you need to know where do you put in more resources, or where do you shift. If you're putting a lot of resources on one element, how do you move it into another segment that perhaps may need more? So it's very, very important to have it in your strategy, in your marketing plan, so that you're able to understand, especially the aspect of resource allocation. Yes.
Is that what then helps you determine how you price your product?
Yes. That goes a long way. Remember, pricing takes different strategies. You can either price your product by looking at what was your cost of production. Number 2, what are the regulations? Because you know there are government regulations which you need to factor in into your pricing. Now, there are other strategies that you may want to consider. There are people who will price a product or a service based on the costs.
Okay.
So we call that the cost-based pricing.
All right.
You can also price the product through competition, you know, competition based. Just look at what is happening in the market.
Yeah.
What is happening in the industry? What are the dynamics that are changing around your product and service?
Okay.
What is your competitor doing? And then you can bring in the pricing aspect in relation to that.
Yeah.
So sometimes you may find that there are discounts that are offered. You know, again, when you look at the demographics of your consumer, you will know where do you target?
Okay.
How do you niche for that? And there's also the value-based. You look at the value that you're giving to your consumer, and then you price according to the value of it.
Okay. All right, that's interesting. And then we get to a space where you perhaps just want to know the best way of making sure that you promote your product. First of all, upon understanding all this, it is one thing to understand, it's another to make sure that this is well implemented. And there are people who will tell you, you know what, I have put all mechanisms of marketing, but really my product does not seem to do well. My fashion does not seem to entice, you know, all these clients that I've tried to reach out. So how crucial is this in terms of also knowing and letting you understand that, fine, this is really not the product for these people, this is really not the product for this space, this really is not giving us a solution, and perhaps you might need to shift and try something else. And in most cases, will it get you to a point where you say, now let's drop this product, let's drop this service and pick up another?
Yes. Again, we may want to look at the product life cycle. You know, that's a key determinant also in understanding which product is doing well in the market.
Okay.
So every product has a life cycle,
Okay.
just like human beings. You know, there's a conception, there's a birth, you know, there's a maturity, and then life starts to decline. Same goes with a product or a service. So there's the ideation stage. So you look at the ideation, said, what is this you're conceptualizing, and what is this that you're going to bring into the market, and which area do you want to focus in the beginning? Then from that, you go into the product development. So once you are able to package these products such that it is really consumable in the market, then you will go into understanding how do you launch it, how do you bring this awareness into the market. Then there's the growth stage of it. You know, at some point, you look at a product or a service and it's all up there. The consumer, it's needed by the consumer so much, and then you realize at some point it starts declining.
It goes down,
It goes down. Now, within that life cycle and within that process is now for us as a business person, as an organization, to check on the metrics around that and see which now metrics do we need to change so that either we can improve on the quality of the product or we can drop the product completely out of the shelves.
Okay.
Yes, so key important to understand the product cycle. Yes.
All right, so when you are determining the prices, how do you factor in the economic changes? Because then they will always be there. Today, your product is, you know, at this price, and then the prices of electricity or the prices of, you know, your shop or vicinity, the prices of fuel then would shoot up. How do you make these adjustments, of course, in terms of lowering as well as, you know, if not lowering, then as well as increasing the products? Because, I mean, and this is a tendency in the market, there's always fear. So you'd find that this cup was going for 100, but because of the changes, the economic changes in the market, so they are forced to raise the price to around 200 bob. And then adjustments come in, and maybe then there's need to adjust lower. But you find some of these people saying that there's no point of adjusting lower because you do not know when it will adjust up, and then explaining this to the client becomes a problem. So how do we just get to strike this balance?
Yeah, the balance is tricky. Remember, we mentioned that when you're pricing, you may need to look at other factors, and inflation may be one of them. Like you're saying, there's a lot of things happening in the economy. And some are predictable, some are very unpredictable. So how then do you come back to your consumer and factor in these dynamic changes that are happening? Those that are unpredictable, you may not be able to do much about them because those are like economic turn down. Remember, like what happened to COVID?
Yes.
You know, that was very unpredictable. Sometimes you may look at even like the political situation that may occur and affect a lot of things in the economy. So what some of the products and services, what you may be able to do with that is to come back to the market and create the same awareness, bringing in these factors into consideration and creating the awareness to the consumers. Say, exactly this is what is happening into our economy. Because of that, we may want to bring in a price change into it. Some is controllable, some is completely out of our control. But are you creating awareness to your consumer and telling them that the prices have been affected because of these market dynamics, industry dynamic, global, regional, or local changes in the economy.
And what are the notable challenges that one is likely to experience even after they have incorporated the prospects of the 4Ps?
The uptake of the product. You know, sometimes you may put everything that is required into place, but how is the consumption? How is the uptake? Now again, you go back to your drawing board and ask, who needs my service? When is it needed? What are the demographics of the people who require my service or my product? Go back now into your model of your consumer and look around that and see if this product, like for example, look at Safaricom, if I may quote it. It has different bundles for different consumers. How have they been able to target that very well? So they've already understood their consumer segmentation. They have already understood these are the people who need a bundle for a day because that is what they can afford. We have the monthly one, we have the postpaid, we have the prepaid and all that. So understanding your consumer is very, very important. Yes, and the demographics of the consumer.
So are there instances where then the 4Ps are incorporated to work together? Must they always work together? And if they're not working together, just how important is the interconnection between these 4?
The 4Ps are all interconnected. You know, it's like having the 4 wheels of a car and they all must balance. Why? You will need the product because that is what you're putting you're putting out into the market. You will need to price the product or the service. So it has to go together. See the interconnection. The product has to go together with the price. You need a place where you're going to market this product or service. Whether it is the traditional way of marketing, how are people going to access you, where will they get the product, whether it is through the digital space or whether it is through a physical shop or whichever other way. Number 4, you need to, we have the price, the product, and the place, and the pricing. So all these need to go together. One has to work together with the other one. We cannot be able to work with them separately. All right, so it's always a must that then one incorporates this, and if they don't, in the event of failure, after the incorporation of this, how do you bounce back, and how do you again trust this whole process of marketing to be the right thing to do, even in the next product or in the next service that you bring? Insights. You know, when you look at the marketing insights and you do your market research, know where are the gaps, identify your gaps, identify which is the gap that is causing this product or service not to do well into the market. Then come back, is it the price? Have you overpriced your product? Have you underpriced your product? Is it the product or the service itself? Is it needed or is it not needed? Is it your way of creating the awareness through the promotion strategies that you're using, or is it the place of access that is not? Go back into the gaps, go back into your research, and then from that you'll be able to identify where the gap is and address it.
And marketing most of the times will be considered an expensive affair. And especially when you're talking about the space. And the space, then my assumption is that, well, you want to go on TV, or maybe the promotional aspect of it, of the 4Ps. That is fine, the product is here. But then again, you have to market it, you have to price it. So pricing, you know, you get to a space where you are tempted to price higher so that it can cater for all these other prospects, including promoting as well as, you know, figuring out the place where you place the product for it to be well known. just what would you tell that one person who has perhaps a very good product, but maybe not maximizing on the sales because they've not invested in the marketing aspect?
You know, you say you cannot afford to put a cost into your marketing.
Yeah.
Why? Because you can have very good product. You can have this cup and you know it's needed. But if nobody knows about it, it is not helping you at the end of the day. As a business owner, you will not be getting any benefit out of it. Yeah. And from the consumer perspective, the consumer will also not be benefit from it. So marketing is a vital aspect for any business, whether it's a small business, medium or a large scale. Now, it doesn't have to be expensive all the time. There are other ways you can be able to promote your business. Yeah. You know, there's the referrals one-on-one, and we say that your customers are the greatest promoters of your brand. Yeah. So once you're able to give good service to your customers, you may not incur a lot of cost. We say that customer service is the new marketing now. Because once one customer is able to tell another and another is able to tell, you know, it creates that ripple effect and it cuts down on your high cost of marketing. So it doesn't have to be expensive. Give quality service to your customers and they will be your number one ambassadors.
And that's a very important thing you speak of. And it brings me to this point of understanding what are some of the, you know, actual marketing processes that would yield or would bear fruit. And especially, you know, with services, at least I think I would say is how you serve your clients, and then they go word of mouth and they speak of your great services and all that. But with products, and sometimes we get to spaces where we have a lot of giveaways, left, right, and center, for purposes of just getting people to try your product and trust it and believe it. What are some of these mechanisms that would be considered extreme when it comes to the question of marketing, or to what level can you take it, even when it comes to, like, say, giveaways? And, you know, you say tickets here and there for people to get to enjoy this, and yeah.
Again, I would say it goes back to the business. It goes back to the organization, it goes back to the business owner. What are you trying to achieve? Yeah. What are the features of this product that you're trying to achieve in the market, to give out there in the market? So re-evaluating the product features and asking yourself, even though I change this, if I get a discount, is it going to have any impact at the end of the day? You know, going back to that re-evaluation process and asking yourself, for this product, this cup, is it serving its purpose? Is the quality what is needed back in the market? Is the feature of this product what is required by the consumer? So the features of the product, very, very important. The quality of the product, very, very important. And is it serving the need to the consumer? Yes. Those are key metrics you need to keep checking with yourself. Because again, competition is out there, and it's real. You know, your next door neighbor is looking at what are you doing, and then they improve on their product so that they beat you on the competition. So keep rechecking, keep reevaluating.
Rechecking is as good as rebranding?
Yes, you can keep rebranding, but again, not too often. Remember, you need, because when again you keep rebranding, it will again bring in the question of what is it maybe you're trying to cover. Yeah, to cover.
And there's some people who will be comfortable and say that my product is well known. It is being consumed as I would have wished for it to be consumed. So what is the essence of investing in marketing? Why go out there and you know, put up an advertisement that is quite expensive, yet this is something that sells itself?
Marketing, remember, is also a psychological game. It is the psychology of the consumer that you're trying also to keep appeasing to that. And again, remember, when you look at how much competition is coming in, you need to stay on top of the game. You always need to remind your client, hey, I still exist. I am here, even as much as your product is good enough, it is being consumed, but you have to keep reminding your consumers that, hey, I'm still here.
You're still here. So what is the take home for some of us who are penetrating the marketing spaces, have been here long enough, on the essence of marketing and also incorporating the 4 Ps that are at the heart of it?
All right. The takeaway for this is remember that no product or service can be able to achieve its core purpose without putting the consideration of the four.
Yeah.
They are the fundamentals. These four wheels need to balance for this vehicle to be able to move. Number two, you need to keep coming back into the re-evaluation, monitoring and evaluation. How are you doing in the market? Is your consumer still needing? And remember, the consumer needs are changing.
Yeah.
The customer is changing. They are evolving day in, day out.
I agree.
Keep going back into that. Don't sit back and assume that since the product is doing well, since the service is doing well, that there's little to do about that. Keep being out there on the faces of your consumers.
Very important, very important. We sometimes ask ourselves, you know, why is it that these big brands are always constantly advertising, yet they are all known and they have, you know, loyal consumers? But then that makes sense at this point. How do I get a hold of you in the event that I'd love to get more advice in relation to marketing? All right.
I'll give you my contact.
That's fine, that's fine.
So my number is 0722 677853 or 0733 375 966. And my office is located at the Trio Complex, just behind the Garden City Mall, along Thika Road, Nairobi.
All right. Thank you so much once again, Pauline Muthoni Kariuki. She is a customer service trainer, consultant, and coach. It was nice having you this morning. Quite a short but precise and, you know, helpful session that we have had right there on the essence of marketing if you are in the space of business. We take a quick short breather and we come back with understanding some more on the 4 C's, but now with a different pattern after this break.
Wakati mwingine kama weekend, mimi najiachilia.
Hata ukumbuki history.
Nikifika watu wangu wakinipokea na kupokeleka.
Umeset the mood.
Nimeset the mood. Naweza kupokeleka. Nikitumai kwamba mzima popote pale ulipo, nikikukaribisha katika kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi. Jina langu Elizabeth Mutuku. Katika kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi tunakupa nafasi kutangamana nao kila siku ya Alhamisi kuanzia saa 1:30 kuendelea siku nyingine. Tutapatana papa hapa umjue kiongozi mwingine.
Jiunge nasi toka hapa ufuoni mwa bahari. Meli yetu itakapotua nanga kwa uhondo ribo ya riwaya hii Mwisho wa Kosa. Monica.
It's early morning in Maralal. Start your morning informed, educated, entertained, and above all, know your country. From the beautiful plains of Samburu County to the skyscrapers of Nairobi, Morning Cafe certainly got you covered. Indeed, a beautiful place to watch and certainly a moment of understanding and knowing your country. Indeed, to the remotest parts of every county. Join me, Linda Alela, every weekday from 6 a.m. to 9:30 a.m.
The diversity of Kenya's wildlife has garnered international fame.
This is pellets that we give to the tourists, the giraffes. We ration because we don't want the giraffes to eat too much of this. We want them to have more of the natural browse.
We may not always get the opportunity to go out to see the wildlife, but you will never miss the opportunity to see it from the comfort of your couch.
This is home to animals that have been found out there either injured, abandoned, or confiscated from people who are holding them illegally.
Only on TV47 Wildlife, every Sunday at 7:30 p.m.
Disability is a club that anyone can join.
I live with special needs. It means I have a limitation. There are things I can't be able to do personally myself.
And in our journey to talk about disability, we tell the stories of those with disabilities and even sit with specialists to understand what it means for those affected directly.
We have Peter Macharia here, who is the CEO Jijenge Credits. And I mean, in this world, how do you survive without credits? They say debt is not bad, but just how you manage yours is what is important. And this is a specialist in that world, beyond, you know, giving you the trainings of how to do it. He is generous enough to say that if you'd want some extra money, not really extra, but if you want money to set up a business, then you can reach out to Jijenge. They'd help you out on this. But what's important is that even as you get this money, please make sure that you put it to the right use. You know, get the returns. Once you get the returns, service the loan that you have taken, and, you know, as well expand your credit capability. And so we are here to discuss credits, which is very, very important. And these are the C's of, you know, the world of credits, which is crucial to making sure that if you're in the SME world, or if you are in that space where you want to begin business, then you know how to manage this. So we will be looking at the factors to consider before issuing a loan, and a couple of other matters that would be in the same line. Thank you so much for creating time once again to be here with us. And there's a lot of confusion in relation to people acquiring loans, the difficulties that come along with it. But we also appreciate institutions like yours that, you know, would accord people loans, but on pretty much of an easier and flexible ways. But we really do not have proper understanding of this. And that's why some people will tell you, I fear loans. And so they won't even bother taking loans because they are just scared they might not be able to service the loans, and they do not want to be in this space of debt. Yet many who have done well in terms of investment will tell you it is because of loans. So first of all, as you tell us what Jijenge Credit does, what are some of the factors to consider before you say that you want to take or issue a loan?
Thank you, Linda, for inviting me to this morning session and for this wonderful TV station. Thank you.
Thank you.
And keep up the good work.
You know, asante sana.
Now, the most important thing to consider when you intend to take a loan is number one, where do you want to take the money? Is it borrowed funds, or is it non-interest based funds, or what type of funds are they? Then the project you want to undertake, have you done a good research? Have you done SWOT analysis? SWOT analysis means the strengths, weaknesses, threats for that project. Because you might start a business, the way most Kenyans do, whereby they start a business that is similar to everybody, because they've had its successes. But you see, when a business is opened, one business is opened by so many people, it exhausts the market. And therefore, the profits and the management of the business and the profit margins are usually compromised. Therefore, before you engage in any borrowed funds or you start a business, do proper research, do your homework, consult, look for a mentor, and engage as many people as possible, but people who are going to uplift your spirit, uplift your information gap, and help you to succeed in the business startup.
It's a whole lot of risk and gamble across for those ones that want to set up businesses, but equally for those ones that are lending this money. And I mean, you will agree with me that most of the activities that you do is more of a gamble, because these are new faces that are marching into your office, are requesting for money. You do not know how much you can, you know, trust them. Sometimes you conduct due diligence, but before you know it, this money has disappeared, these people have disappeared. So again, on your end, or you know, the end of the lender, what are some of the factors to consider?
On the lender side, there are, well, we try to make it, we try to make the analysis as scientific as possible. So that you don't end up making it a gamble per se. Because bad debts occur because of poor credit analysis. If you don't analyze the borrower properly, if you don't engage, you don't go through the 5 C's on the borrower, the probability of that debt becoming bad is almost 100%. And therefore, as a lender, you should take your time, use a very elaborate credit analysis system, These days there are even softwares, artificial intelligence softwares that do the analysis in seconds. And therefore, that is what I would advise most lenders, that do proper credit analysis before you give out any coin out there.
Okay, so let's talk about the C's of credit, which are very, very important, perhaps to highlight them and unpack the importance of the same.
Well, the 5 C's are character, capacity to pay, collateral, and
there are 5 or 4. I know sometimes they can skip your mind, and because we have the Msemakweli here, sometimes it's good to just get it, you know, on our toes so we all understand.
Character, capacity, capital, collateral, and conditions.
Yes.
And therefore, the most important one is it's supposed to be capacity to pay.
Yes.
But on my part, as a seasoned lender, the most important one should be character, because in Europe they don't look at they don't ask for securities, collateral. So in Europe
they just tell you, you know, the morals. You should be guided by your morals. We can trust you. We allow you to go ahead.
If you're given 1,000,
you
come and pay it back. That's why they don't ask for title deeds and logbook.
Okay.
Yeah, they just look at your character and your capacity to pay.
All right.
Yeah. But now in Africa, or the Kenyan market, we now go a step ahead and ask for collateral. And
because you barely have information about an individual, there's not a place you can go to and say that now this one is good enough to give us you know, information on whether this person is a person to trust and all that. Why do you suppose that we are lagging behind in such spaces? Are we that morally collapsed or what?
I think it's number one, our morals, then number 2, our academic system.
Yeah.
It's supposed to inculcate the aspect of good personal finance skills.
Yeah.
Whereby you are given money, you borrow money and you should pay it back. But also if you look at the moral setup of the Kenyan system, there's that the level of corruption, I think, distorts
the whole process and the aspect of trust.
Okay. That's why now most lenders and the ones who are using the traditional method ask for collateral. More so because also, especially for the banks that collect deposits from the public, they have to ask for that because on one hand, they've taken deposits from the public. So in case depositors come and don't find their money,
there's a problem. And you speak about the traditional, and of course, that tells us then we have the current style of doing it. How advanced are we in terms of, you know, lending people money today, and also just building that confidence that this money, you know, that is from the lenders will come back?
Well, the current setup, or the current foundation that is being laid by CBK, it's headed towards that direction, whereby the lenders and the borrowers will converge at a point whereby once the lender gives you money, you pay.
Yes.
Because the systems the current CBK management is putting in place, they are very elaborate. They will really help the society because they're also vetting the lenders, and they also on the back end we also have the Credit Reference Bureau, which is also looking critically at the borrower.
Okay.
And therefore the focal point will be you get money and you pay. Yeah. So well, I think the systems are, most organizations are very, very elaborate systems.
Yeah.
I can speak for ourselves, Jijenge Credit Limited. We have a very elaborate software that does credit analysis. It's actually an artificial intelligence software.
Okay.
It does that in seconds.
And then you're able to know who is this, who you're lending to, and
it's able to do 360-degree check on your ability to pay, on how you pay back, on the areas that you spend most. So it's very elaborate. And it helps us to be able to make proper, accurate credit decision.
Analysis and decision. And speaking of the decision, how then do you determine just how much one can get, and what are some of these factors that you consider, such that you would come to, I would come to you and tell you, you know, I would wish for you to give me a loan that is worth 1 million, and then you tell me, fine, let us assess your records, and then we arrive at a point where we say, I will not give you 1 million, I think I would give you 500,000, or well, I will give you 1 million, but if you'd want more, you still qualify to get more.
Well, number one, what we consider on your ability to pay, we cluster the borrowers into 2 clusters. Salaried, the ones who fall under checkoff, or the ones who have regular income, monthly income, and then the business customers. For the salaried customers, we follow the ILO, International Labour Organization rules, which says out of your salary, you can only, the maximum you can commit to your salary is 1/3. So that it's 2/3, so that 1/3 is left for your personal consumption. So 2/3 caters for tax, any loans you have, SACCOs, any savings, and all the other expenses that you are supposed to use.
Yes.
And therefore, we are guided by that rule. So the maximum threshold is within the 2/3. So you put the installment of the new loan that you're borrowing, plus all the other statutory deductions, so that they are within the 2/3 capacity. Then for the business customers, we look at the turnovers. And we usually say out of, let's say, a turnover of 1 million, 10% should be provided for, maybe to cater for expenses. Because out of the turnovers that you have, 90% most likely is a working capital. So profit is within the 10%. That is now what we now factor in as an amount that should be able to service an installment. Yes.
Okay, and so in this case, collateral is very, very important. So how then do you also get to create that balance of understanding? This is collateral that is worth a certain amount of money that someone has taken, or this is not worth, or how do you just use that to make sure that then there's that aspect of security that is provided?
Well, for collateral, we don't lend 100%. We lend a certain percent. For, let's say, land like title deeds and such, we look at, we check whether it's within the municipality or outside the municipality. If it's within the municipality, we can lend up to a certain a slightly higher percent, maybe 40% of the mortgage value of wholesale value. But outside the municipality, we do a maximum of 20% of the wholesale value. Then for vehicles, we also look at different models. European models, we lend a slightly lower percentage of the wholesale value. For the Japanese models, because of their marketability and their resellability, we lend at 70 to 80% of the wholesale value. So you find that someone who has a common model will get more money than someone who has a European model.
Okay, and so then you have highlighted of the importance of someone's credit history for them, for you to understand their capability and whether then they come in to pay. But also, just how do you determine the duration or the period that one is to stay with, the loan, or that one is to stay before they get to clear their loan, or I mean, is it unique to individuals or what?
Yes, the repayment period for a facility can be determined by the borrower or the borrower's information. For example, if the borrower is employed on permanent and pensionable terms, his loan repayment period is guided by is limited to the retirement age. If it's a civil servant, it's 60 years.
Yes.
If you are employed by an NGO or the UN or such corporate bodies, your contract says gives the date of the expiry of the contract.
Okay.
And therefore, that is now what guides the installment period for for your facility. A good example is our MPs and MCAs.
MCAs, yes.
Their contract is limited to the tenure of the period of parliament.
Okay.
So it should be before the next elections.
Okay.
Yeah. So like now, they can borrow a loan and they will pay within 5 years because they got in last year, August.
Yes.
So it will be limited to that period.
To that.
Yes.
Okay. So what leads to auctioning? Say, you know, and now you have received this phone call and everybody or everything in your house has to go.
Now, for auctioning or repossession, the process is very clear. You must first of all default. Default means you fail to pay your loan installment. If you fail to pay your loan installment, you're given a demand letter.
Okay.
Yes, which can be sent via email, but ordinarily it's supposed to be sent via registered post.
So there's a clear process as to that.
There's a very clear process.
Okay.
Because it is guided by law. And then once you're given a demand letter, you're given a period to redeem, to come pay or reorganize or come restructure or come and give your reasons.
Yeah.
At Jijenge Credit, we give 3 demand letters. We don't even give one. Because you might have failed to see the first one.
Yes.
So we give you the second one, then the third one. So that within 2 or 3 months, you've received 3 demand letters.
Okay.
Then after that, you can now request the auctioneer to engage you. And even the auctioneer cannot come and repossess goods immediately.
Okay.
They're supposed to come and do a proclamation. Proclamation means they come and identify the goods that had secured the facility. If it's a car, they come and tell you, we've been sent by this company, Bank X, and if you fail to pay within 7 days, you'll come for this car. Then they go away. Then after those 7 days, they now come and take it.
And take it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Most of the times, they would, what really plays out, and I mean, I think I like that aspect of the process, but prior to according someone that loan, beyond the key things that they would be owning, do you sometimes get to a space where you want to basically have them declare what it is that they own as perhaps security, apart from maybe the car, which would be enough to manage that?
Definitely when a loan application is being done, you list
the things that
the things that you possess, or the things that you intend to use as security.
And then a calculation is done?
Yeah, not only a calculation, a valuation is done.
Yes.
Because you might be thinking that your car is worth 1 million, but when valuation is done, it's only worth 200,000.
Okay.
So that's why we need those values before the facility is processed.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. That is very, very important. And so once you have accorded someone some of these monies, and like you say, you sometimes wish for them to state what they're going to use the monies for. Is there a follow-up to understand whether this money is being put to use? And in the event it's not being put to use, then what happens?
Definitely there's a follow-up, and that's why when most financial institutions are lending, they prefer lending to existing
clients,
existing businesses. Because
existing businesses.
Yeah, statistics have shown that startups, most of them don't see their third year.
Yeah.
And especially now when the cost of living and there are so many changes in the cost of the dollar if you are an importer or you sell imported goods. And even manufacturers, the cost of power has gone up by 64%.
Yeah.
So ideally, if you are doing business now, you need to be very, very cautious on your operational expenses. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's good. And that is on the question of credit. So what do you do as Jijenge? What are some of the products that you have? And is this open to everybody, or there's some level at which you would want clients who have the capability to, access some of these monies? And I'm meant to understand that there are no specific people that are aligned to Jijenge. You can just match in and you are lucky enough to get a loan.
Yes, we serve all Kenyans. We have representatives in all the counties.
Yeah.
We are also planning to get agents in all the towns countrywide. We have a new office in Nakuru, a new Nakuru branch office. Our head office is located at Kaunda Street, Townhouse, 6th floor. And we serve each and every person who
Matches
who matches and who qualifies for a facility. Right from Wajir to Isebania to Busia, we have customers in each and every town. And our contacts are 0711 282727. We offer logbook, loans against logbooks, asset finance if you want to purchase equipment, printers, photocopiers, tractors, cars, pickups. We support that. We also offer loans to farmers, especially the ones who have regular income, maybe from milk, tea, and coffee. And we also serve civil servants, teachers, business people. Actually, our core business is to support micro, small, and medium enterprises. That's why we also work with so many organizations that support MSMEs. And we try as much as possible to support, even offer free training, free consultation, free business support, and free accounting support to all the businesses or all our customers.
Must be a gamble, and
not really a gamble, because we've been doing that for quite some years. Jijenge Credit has been in existence for 9 years now. Personally, I've done lending for over 30 years. So basically, I'm just continuing with what I used to do. The only difference now is that initially we were employed in a bank, but now we have set up our own financial institution.
Okay, that's great. Peter Macharia, thank you so much for speaking to us this morning. How do they get a hold of you? You said you have offices where?
Our offices are in Kaunda Street, in Nairobi, Kaunda Street Townhouse, 6th floor. We have another branch at Ridgeways, and we have another branch in Nakuru Town. And our contacts are 0711 282727. 0711 282727.
Peter Macharia, the CEO, Jijenge Credit Limited. How time flies, and surprise, and here we are. We have to close it, but I'm glad that we get great insights as to what it entails to be a lender or a borrower, and some of the things that you need to consider before you release that money to the next party, and as well before you decide that it's time for me to take a loan, let it be worth the cost, so that once you're done, then it becomes easy to service the loan. Thank you so much once again. It was on the 5 C's of credit and how important they are in real life as you get to incorporate them in your day-to-day activities of borrowing as well as lending. It's 25 minutes past the top of the hour. In about 1 minute or so, we're shifting gears to a different conversation altogether. Not here. I'm saying a different conversation on TV47, and so you do not need to turn that dial. There's still lots that is coming your way. The hashtag, as always, is more